This episode of Linux Action Show is brought to you by GoDaddy.com. Use the code Linux and save.
Welcome to the Linux Action Show, Season 25, Episode 6. My name is Chris.
My name is Matt.
Hey there, Matt. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
We have a great show, big show coming up today. In the second half of the show, we're gonna give you an open source alternative to Google Docs. Now, it's not going to replace Google Docs for everybody.
Wow.
But there's some really key competitive advantages that Google Docs has, and we've got something that matches those in spades, Matt.
Nice.
We'll be talking about that in the feedback section of the show towards the end. We're going to bury the hatchet with a formal rival. Plus, we've got a very special mystery surprise, perhaps, that will be unboxed.
Oh, yes.
And then, of course, in the news segment, we've got the news of the week. But right now, up first, it is our picks of the week.
Woo!
Are you ready for the first pick?
I'm ready. Let's hear 'em.
All right, let's do our Runs Linux, Mr. Matt.
All right.
Australia's defense runs Linux. So this is actually sort of a continuation of a trend that they've been working on. Now, this article calls it just defense. And we asked the chat room, is it Ministry of Defense? Is it Defense Department? The article just refers to them as defense.
And so they may be just shortening that.
I don't know.
We're going to go with that idea. So
It's too complicated.
too much wordage.
This is actually really cool. So they're pulling over a total of 1,000 systems onto Linux servers. They've already done 600 of them. They're bringing 400 more. These are surveillance systems used by defense to monitor airspace using 3 major radar installations. They run on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. They also use HP workstations running Linux to access the information. And during an interview, they said the decision to move the defense to the Linux systems was to realize scalability, customization, and cost-saving benefits. And this is a quote: "The flexibility in having access to the source code and being able to make changes to the Linux kernel, such as writing drivers for particularly specialized pieces of hardware or tweaking boot kernels, was very important."
Nice.
They also said the Red Hat system made it easy to accommodate diverse changes throughout the entire project and meant we always had access to a great number of new tools. Here's what's interesting, though, and I don't know if this is a good thing for Red Hat or a bad thing.
Okay.
The process to move to another Red Hat Enterprise clone is very straightforward, which gives us the feeling of greater flexibility in the future. Now that the automated process have been set up, it's very easy for us to switch to another Red Hat Enterprise Linux clone like CentOS, Scientific Linux, or even Oracle's variants.
I think as long as they're getting value from what Red Hat's offering, I don't see any need for them to actually do it. And they probably won't, but I think they like the fact that they don't feel like they're in a vendor lock-in situation.
I completely agree. It's like you're not siloed into their world, but what also in practicality, anything that's going to be in a government installation or a high-end important production environment, they're going to want that support contract.
That's right.
But what it does let you do is it lets you spin up Scientific Linux and CentOS servers to test and stage. And then you can validate against that and successfully and confidently deploy to the production servers running Red Hat Enterprise Linux.
Exactly. Yep.
So,
and they can, of course, choose who they want to have with help with support. And that's nice by having those options. That's great.
Absolutely. So very cool. We have a link to that for more information. And that was from IT News for Australia Business over at itnews.com.au. Now, Matt, there's an elephant in the room right now. Today is the big game. I think that's all we're allowed to say. I don't even think I'm allowed to say anything more than that.
Yeah, I know. It's like some weird IP thing or something.
And it's happening later today. We're doing this at 10 a.m. Pacific our time.
Yep.
And neither one of us are huge football fans.
See, I thought it was like baseball or golf or karate or something. I don't know what was going on.
Now you're just trolling.
I don't know what's going on. There's just some football thing.
Come on.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I know exactly
Well, I'll
what
tell you who cares a lot about the Super Bowl, and that is GoDaddy.com, today's sponsor of the show. Yep. And GoDaddy loves to celebrate the Super Bowl in a really big way. And I think this is their biggest promotion they've ever done for the Super Bowl. This offer code that we have for you guys is only valid until the 8th of this month, so it's just to celebrate this
awesome.
Super Bowl. Okay. You ready for this, Matt?
Let's hear it. I'm curious.
When folks are checking out, if they use the code GO47 off 2. See right there, I have it there on my sheet. GO47 off 2. So when you're checking out, GO47 off 2.
All one word, no spaces or hyphens.
You know what you get with that? Yeah. You know what you get with that?
What do you get with it?
Do you have a guess?
I'm going to say... No, actually, I don't. I'm not able to put that together.
I'll tell you, Matt. You get 47% off the entire order. So whatever you're getting,
Seriously,
if you're doing renewals, which is this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity to do renewals at 47% off.
Holy cow!
And I honestly pulled a lot of strings to get this deal. Now I think some of us remember the hoopla around Danica, right?
Yep.
Well, let's just say everybody came to an agreement Danica worked things out. This 47% off is part of that.
Nice.
47% off is part of that.
Well,
Also,
that was awful nice of her. Yeah.
if you're catching this after the 8th of February, 2013, you can still use our code Linux295 to get a .com for $2.95. As part of this, Danica said, you know what? I'll keep breaking into the data centers for at least another month. I'll keep getting you these Linux 295s, but I got to be honest, they're going to catch me.
Eventually, they're going to end up
Yeah.
cutting the cords
Yeah.
on her whole Mission Impossible setup there. I'm telling you.
Right.
But
The
that's
good thing
awesome.
is she's really fast, so she's in and out.
Well, that's
she's
cool.
in and
What's
out.
the race car thing, right?
Yeah, it's practically real time. So you can use Linux 295 to get a .com for $2.95 when you're checking out over at GoDaddy.com. But seriously, you guys, limited time offer, only valid until the 8th. Go 47 off 2. Go 47 off 2. You'll save 47% when you're shopping over at the GoDaddy.com.
Woo!
Crazy deal. Crazy deal. All right.
Crazy.
So
Love
thank you to GoDaddy.
Big thank you.
And, visiting those links in our show notes also just lets them know that you appreciate them sponsoring the show and that you're paying attention. And we really appreciate you doing that, too.
Big thanks.
All right, I have a really interesting Android pick.
Oh, yeah.
This one was provided in our subreddit over at linuxactionshow.reddit.com by Tidert.
Sure.
He's got numbers in there. man.
Yeah.
And I actually, at first, decided not to try this. Right? This is
Okay.
one of the rare app picks that I haven't tried myself, but I think the concept is so good, and I think I'm going to do it. I'm a
Right.
Google Voice user, so at first it's like, oh, this isn't going to work for me.
Right.
But then I realized in limited scenarios this might work. It's an app that's called Last Message.
Okay.
And you install this on your phone, and guess what? It's for when you have low battery. Here, I'll play a little clip
nice.
that they explain
Okay.
it really well.
Let's listen.
Have you ever been in the middle of a conversation when all of a sudden your battery dies? Last Message is a revolutionary app that lets you send one final text, email, tweet, or Facebook message before it's too late. How does it work? Simple. Last Message runs quietly in the background, closely monitoring your battery. And when it gets too low, it sends a fully customizable message to the contacts you choose. Start by creating your personalized away message any way you like.
You
Then
get the idea,
simply
yeah.
add the contacts you want to receive the message.
So the basic idea is if you got one of those Android devices out there, which many of them do, where the battery doesn't work so well, it doesn't last so long, and sometimes it dies on you without you realizing.
Right. Or you're just in a situation where you did not plan for that to happen.
Well, maybe you're on a phone call that goes long.
Right.
It'll send it out while you're on the phone too, so you can be just chatting away, not paying attention. It'll be like, oh, hey, by the way, my phone's dying, and maybe you want the significant other to know that or something.
Right,
like that.
right. I didn't just roll off a cliff or something. Yeah, totally.
So that's pretty cool, and it's free, and it's called Last Message from Fat Brain. We'll have a link to that in the show notes, as well as a link to all our previous Android picks.
I probably would take a unique approach to using that app. I could see myself in a situation to where my battery's about to die, and I take a medic alert bracelet approach, or to where I basically help me, my phone is falling and it can't get up, right? I mean, you could totally have fun with it, too. It doesn't have to be serious. You could be a complete troll about it. It's
I wonder if
awesome.
you could send a picture message. You could have like a, yeah.
I don't know.
So
That'd be awesome.
I have a Linux desktop pick for folks out there that maybe there's a lot of different photo management applications. One that we mentioned before on the show, like a lot, is called Darktable.
Yeah.
And if you want a sort of a more professional level of photo management application, you might check that out. Of course, we talked about F-Spot and Shotwell, as well as some other ones. But those are all sort of for creating a library, maintaining albums, and sort of adding metadata around your pictures.
A more management tool kind of situation.
And which is there's totally a spot for that. And I probably should adopt something like that, but I have found, because I'm old, I think, that just continuing to use a folder structure.
Yeah, it's what I do. It's what I know.
Right, that's what I do. So I have found an application that it helps me just kind of live in a folder structure, but still do some nice management type things with photos. It's called Photox, I think. Photoxx.
Yeah, Photox sounds right.
Photox, and there's a new version out that adds some neat features, and I thought I would just give a quick demo. But what I like about it is it lets you just browse the file system. So I pointed it at like a collection of images, right?
Right.
And then it just kind of indexes and scans them, and now I have here they are, and there's a bunch of different levels I could go up. And so here I'm looking at some photos, and here's some folders I could go into and find all the photos in there, right?
Okay.
But let's start with this picture of my head that I took this morning, right? My hair wanted to say good morning. And I thought maybe I'd show like one of the new. So they have retouch. You can adjust the metadata. You can combine multiple pictures.
And these are all options on the left-hand side for the audio listeners here.
And the way they do the interface is you always have a browse mode, and you have a photo mode, and you also have there's a way to do a geolocation data mode.
Oh, okay.
So in the edit mode, I want to show you one of their new. This is just added in the latest 1302 version that just came out.
It's a brand
and
spanking new.
it's called Drawing.
Drawing.
Yeah.
Oh, now this could be fun. I could see this going places.
And it converts the picture into, it makes it look like a drawing. So,
cool.
So I can see I can start playing with some of the settings here, and then I bring up some of the different settings, and you can start to see it starting to kind of look like maybe a pencil drawing a bit.
Oh yeah, totally. It's
Yeah.
like that old '80s video. You know,
It totally is, right?
I totally can see that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you can really tweak it to look like a sketch, to look like a cartoon. It's quite compelling, actually.
Yeah. And so it kind of looks like a pencil or a pen drawing there, and you see, and different photos will present different results. Like let's take this photo here of a couple years ago of my son Dylan, right?
Right.
And I go in here, and if I say you go in here to transform, where is it? Transform. No, not transform. It's art. Drawing.
Okay.
And you can see where there's a photo where there's a lot of different brightness and stuff. You're going to get pretty dramatic different results. But you kind of set some of the settings to the base of that photo, what looks best, and then you can kind of just go to town with experimenting with stuff and see.
That's cool.
Yeah, I can bring up different contrast levels here, and it starts to get.
You know what's functional for this too is that if you have a photo that would otherwise be a fantastic photo, but maybe the lighting was off or your flash blew everything out of proportion.
It's kind of an interesting creative way. Like look how I tweak it. See the different texture levels on the shirt and stuff. So it's a neat app. Again, it's called Photox.
It has like an art quality.
Yeah. Photoxx, and version 1302 was just released that adds this neat drawing mechanism and
I like
it. That. And it's just a nice way if you primarily store your photos in a folder structure, but still want to be able to take out a blemish or crop something just right or do something artsy like that, Photox will do that.
I like it. It's embracing our inner legacy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Our legacy needs.
Yeah, it's very cool. And that was I think I found that on my own, but I have seen a lot of great app picks that have been submitted to our subreddit too. So please continue to submit those. Yeah. We always like to find stuff that we've never seen before and get to play with them and then talk to you guys about it. So you can submit those over at linuxactionshow.reddit.com.
Yes.
All right, Matt. Well, let's do the news.
Hey, it's time for the news, and today's news is brought to you by
Loot Crate, new sponsor here on the Linux Action Show. Epic Geek and Gamer swag every single month. Thank you to Loot Crate for sponsoring the news segment of the Linux Action Show. You can join Loot Crate at a bunch of different plan rates. Once you pick that, it auto-renews every single month, and you get new products. They partner with great brands, and they deliver an awesome experience in a box. And later on in the show, we will be opening up this magic box to show you what we got. We got one.
Yep.
We got one. So thank you to Loot Crate. If you want to take advantage of a special $3 off offer, go over to lootcrate.com/Linux. That's lootcrate.com/Linux and sign up for our brand new sponsor. These guys are an awesome sponsor for the Linux Action Show.
And make sure to use the code Linux when you do that.
There you go.
Your coupon code is Linux.
And we'll have a link to them in the show notes. If you want to just visit them to check them out and tell them that, hey, you're paying attention and you appreciate them sponsoring the Linux Action Show, go check out Loot Crate at lootcrate.com/Linux. And thanks to them.
Big thank you
for supporting the Linux Action Show.
And stay tuned. We will be opening this bad boy.
All right, Matt, are you ready?
I'm ready.
I was just saying on the live show in between stream, I think I'm starting to get a little bit of a man crush on Gabe.
Yeah, you've been kind of googly-eyed at him,
Well,
with the googly eyes and such.
He's just a smart guy. So here's what's going on. So Gabe was in a Q&A session this last week, and somebody got him on the topic of consoles and things of that nature, which has been with the Steam box. It's been a topic lately, and he says the biggest danger facing the success of the Steam box isn't any other PC ecosystem. It's Apple. This is the threat right now is Apple. They have gained a huge amount of market share and has a relatively obvious pathway towards entering the living room with their platform. Newell went on to say, I think there's a scenario where we sort of have a dumbed-down living room platform emerging. I think Apple rolls the console guys really easily. The question is, can we make enough progress in the PC space over ourselves there and figure out a better way of addressing mobile before Apple takes over the living room?
Boy, I'm real hesitant on this type of thing. He may be right. First of all, he's got vastly more experience in this realm than I do, and so I'm going to have to bow to that. If he feels threatened by this and has concerns, I'm going to listen.
I completely agree. See, the Apple TV is a sleeper hit. They sell upwards of 2 million a quarter, and that has been on an upwards trajectory at almost 20% every time Apple does their revenues reporting.
Right.
The Apple TV has increased by another 20 to 25% in market share. The other thing is the existing Apple TV, actually even the older models, the Apple II, the ones you and I have that we can hack.
Yeah.
They have like 8 gigabytes of storage.
They do.
Built into it that is just waiting for them to update it. They also run iOS, so they just have to put a new springboard on there, and they can take advantage of app stores.
That's right.
They can take advantage. It's running iOS 6.
Well, and as it is, it's already doing like Hulu, Netflix. You've got all your YouTube stuff. You got your movie trailers. It's got a lot of content on there that definitely bring people back.
And I could totally see Apple doing like this very simplistic app store for Apple TV that is very basic. Maybe it has, maybe you can control Angry Birds if you have an iPad, right?
I could see that. Yes.
Whereas Valve, they want to bring a full-fledged, PC with a nice interface on top of it that's going to give you a lot more flexibility and a lot more power options. But he's right. Apple has been slowly deploying this.
I think that I definitely agree with that. I think the bigger challenge that Valve's going to be facing is making sure they get entrance into the market early enough because Apple's already in a lot of living rooms. But Valve, however, has to actually make that transition, and so they're definitely. I think time's ticking. I think they're going to have to get on that pretty quickly.
But it's interesting. He's he's concerned,
and rightfully so,
by Microsoft.
And wise. Yeah.
He's concerned by Microsoft for the App Store and Windows 8. Right?
Sure.
So that's the platform he makes the most money from right now is Windows by a huge margin. Apple, he's also concerned about because he's afraid they're going to take over the living room. That would be the second platform he makes the most money off of.
Right.
For desktop.
So they're both active platforms that he's got some concerns over. But the fact that he acknowledges it is good. That's excellent.
I wonder if there's other companies we're not thinking of where they would have some of these same threats where Linux would also look like sort of an island of refuge for them, where they could have a fair commercial fight.
Potentially. I mean, we've had a preview of games on a set-top device, and I say preview because they have not done it like in a super focused way, but Roku, for instance, they do have some games on there, and it's not been their primary focus. Their primary focus is content, but that certainly does exist. So it gives you kind of an idea of what that might look like. Roku, of course, does it with a remote control, where Apple would probably end up doing it with their, as you said, iPad or their iPhone or some sort of iDevice with an eye in front of it.
Yeah.
And then Valve, of course, would probably give you a more functional controller experience.
Controller, keyboard.
Yeah, right.
He's even talked about biometrics, whatever that would be.
And see, if they do that, I don't think, even if they are second to the market, I think that they could completely own it if they provide more value. I really think they'll be fine.
And if they get in there soon enough, you can't argue Steam is a massively respected brand name amongst gamers. They have a huge catalog.
Right.
They already have a bunch of controller-friendly games that are in there today. If they did this move, obviously more controller-friendly games would enter. So we'll see. And of course, we know what direction you and I want it to go.
Well, and more importantly, and this is the meat and potatoes of it, is that you can start and resume games from PC to set-top box, ideally.
Yeah,
that's something I don't see Apple necessarily bringing to the table.
No, they're not even offering that amongst their existing devices.
So exactly. So I don't see so much a threat there as I do maybe a mind share threat. But I think if they actually get something to market, I think Steam would probably spank them silly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So did you hear about this big hoopla that kind of came up over this last week about Samsung laptops getting bricked when you install Ubuntu?
I did hear about this, and I actually have a few thoughts on it. It probably won't be very popular.
Well, so it affected several various models, including the 300E5C, the NP700Z5C, NP700ZC or 7C, and 53OU3C series.
Right.
It's considered a critical bug, and it's essentially linked to the Samsung hardware driver that was created just essentially following the Samsung specs. So you can't really put the blame on the driver creator. He followed what he was told. So it looks like what happens is when it can actually result in when you're dealing with a laptop that has this UEFI bootloader. It can actually cause the machine to fail to boot when it writes to it in a certain way. If something does not work for you the way it should, your motherboard may be permanently damaged and your laptop can actually get bricked. So they consider the bug to be nuclear instead of critical. A senior Ubuntu developer confirmed the distro maker Canonical is speaking with Samsung engineers. Now, thankfully,
Well, here's the $10,000 question. If you brick it and there is, in fact, is there two things? Is there a current workaround for someone that bricked it? And if there's not, when the release comes down, I believe it's from the kernel actually. There was a Linus.
Well, see, the problem is if you've nuked the bootloader, if you've nuked, so it's not just you like a bootloader on a hard drive. It's like the UEFI ROM.
Right. So you're read only. So so that's all. You basically you can't really even reflect. So that stinks.
Now see, there's a workaround it's already been merged by Linus. There are two changes in the main Linux kernel development tree, which mean that Samsung laptop drivers will no longer that driver will no longer be activated when Linux is booted via UEFI.
Right. Well, and here's the bigger issue too: is if let's say you bork your machine and you contact Samsung and you say, "Hey, thanks guys, really, that's great. I have a borked machine." Do they respond with and saying, "Sorry, you just voided your warranty"?
Oh, I'm sure, right?
So you're completely screwed.
Does this feel like ACPI only worse all over again?
It totally does. Well, and nowadays, it's kind of another reminder of you bought a machine with a Windows sticker on it. I'm sorry.
I know.
I'm sorry, guys. I know you hate hearing that, but it's like there is inherent risk. It's Samsung's fault. I'm willing to say that, but come on.
The other problem there, though, is that users buy something and they realize like maybe they're not happy with Windows 8. They want to switch.
That they get an excuse on. Yeah, if it's a pre-existing machine, that's not your fault. You don't know.
Yeah.
But if you're buying a brand spanking new machine after reading this, I'm sorry. Just saying.
So kernel fix, it's not really so much a fix right now as it is a workaround.
Yes.
But it is being merged. It's not in the existing Linux kernel.
Props to the kernel guys for doing something about it.
I believe Ubuntu rolled a new ISO that when it's on a Samsung machine, it will
detect that.
It will make it use BIOS emulation mode.
Okay.
And that solves the problem too.
So it's cool that we see while Samsung's dinking around, we see the Ubuntu team and the Linux kernel team actually addressing this quickly and actually taking a proactive stance. So props to them for that. That's
we don't have to wait till Patch Tuesday in 2 months or something like that.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You're not having to wait for that.
It was fixed like 3 days later, or the workaround at least was in.
That's awesome. Unfortunately, it doesn't help those that were victims of this.
So let's talk a little Ubuntu.
Okay.
Probably the biggest controversial change they did in 12.10 was the new Amazon integrated search results. In 13.04, they're completely revamping the way lenses work. In fact, we're not even really going to call them lenses anymore. We're going to be calling them smart scopes. The development team for Ubuntu 13.04 announced the spec and did a hangout session, which was very informative, kind of detailing the information about this. It's a new feature that will be landing very soon, within the next couple of weeks in the development version. And I'm linking to a great write-up that Alan Bell, who was participating in the hangout as an Ubuntu, just a random community member, and he did a great write-up. So here, let me give you a little bit of the gist.
Okay.
This is a pretty major change that's happening, and some pretty significant bits of information people need to know about if they're Ubuntu users.
Right. Okay.
Your client, so the Ubuntu installation, will now send a list of locally installed scopes to the server that differs from the default. So if, like, we made a Jupyter Broadcasting scope and linked it on the subreddit, but it wasn't an official scope included in Ubuntu, everybody that installs it, it'll report back to canonical servers that you've installed that scope.
Oh, that's kind of...
They use this. They use this for metric gathering. So what they're trying to do is, and I'll get to it in a little bit more detail.
Sure.
But they're monitoring what scopes people use and when they return valid results, not to whom, but just that they did.
Right.
And then they're using that to determine what information and what belongs in what scopes. Canonical is their goal with Ubuntu 13.04. They have about 45 done right now, but their goal is to ship with 100 new scopes. So, like, we're talking, I'll get into all of this, but we're talking things like a SoundCloud scope, an eBay scope, a Launchpad scope, an Ask Ubuntu scope, a Wikipedia scope. All of the stuff will be included in Ubuntu, potentially up to 100 different scopes. Now, the problem that they have is that is a massive overhead. You can't, every time you load the dash, have 100 scopes load in the background.
There's no way that would work.
What they're doing is they're taking advantage of this Smart Scope service.
Okay.
It's called a Smart Scope service that'll be running on canonical servers. This is a proprietary service that they're a server that they've built that is, the communications are encrypted in multiple ways. Individual search results will no longer be linked to any particular IP address.
Okay.
So they won't be able to see that, you've been searching for something 100 times.
This is what they're claiming anyway, right?
Well, they've published a very detailed spec.
They did. Okay. So that's fair.
They published like the protocol diagram and all this kind of stuff.
That's fair. Okay.
But so I tend to believe it. They're being very transparent with this process.
Okay.
So that's a component of it. Every scope you have installed that differs from the default scopes will be reported back. So this means you could have up to 100 or more locally installed scopes. But the Smart Scope service will determine which scopes are best responsible for that information and then give you the reply and launch the appropriate scope on the back end. So if you search for something that's photos, instead of launching an Amazon store search, it'll only launch photo scopes for you automatically.
Interesting.
Once you look into the results and click on something, then the client pings the server to tell it which produced the most relevant result for you, but not tied to you. Just which after all the results it displayed, which ones do people click on? The idea is the system learns over time across all desktops and starts delivering more relevant results. This is how the server learns from feedbacks to produce high quality results on keywords. Lenses are now called master scopes. So you have like a music master scope, and then you could have a ton of subscopes like an Amazon scope or an Ubuntu One scope or whatever.
You know, my big gather from this is, and this is an agnostic statement, I have no opinion, I'm not putting out the opinion on this, is that they're obviously making a big play for data. A big data play, because once this is all ironed out and figured out and assuming it's working the way they want it to, I could see this information, while it's not tied to you personally and while privacy concerns, that's debated, that aside, I think that it definitely presents a unique situation to where they are no longer just so much the desktop as they're more of a data player, almost a Google in a way, that they have all this. They can spot trends. They can. I mean, it really provides them a lot of power.
Here's the idea. Here's the idea, right? Like the idea is that I hit this dash button, and then I just put in, a term, and it goes across all of the different resources that are online. And in some ways, if you look at the way they have the spec design, it's more private than if you were searching just using Google.
Oh directly. Yeah, there's no question of that. I totally believe that.
They actually they are now proxying all the results.
Right.
So they go out from their service to fetch the results, so that way they can cache it for future people that need that.
Okay.
And then they return the results. So Google actually will never see Matt Hartley's IP, which then they associate with your Google account. So it's actually, in some ways, you're right. They are collecting data.
Yeah. And I'm not saying it's bad or good. I'm just saying that would actually provide them with a business model. Again, for better or for worse. I'm not going to go there, but it definitely provides them a unique angle to this, to where they can say our users are primarily into that. Our users are really this, that, and the other thing. They're in, we're seeing a big trend in this music. We're seeing a trend in that. We're seeing a trend in this usage and that usage. I could see that being a big boon to them. Now, while they're not able to tie that, they're not going to tie that data directly to you as a person. They are able to tie it to trends. And that could be beneficial to them.
Well, that could help them make a better desktop. I think what Canonical's stance here now is like, we're gonna merge the cloud and the desktop. We're doing that with web apps. We're doing this with these online search results.
Sure.
Anything we can do to augment the desktop or the phone, because they're also going to deliver all this stuff on the phone, and you definitely don't necessarily want the phone doing all this processing.
No.
I think what they're saying is if you're not comfortable with cloud computing as a general concept, then you're probably not Ubuntu's target demo.
Well, and from what I read, they do offer an off switch, which is fine, because I myself don't use the dash anyway.
Now, this hasn't been built yet, but they are supposedly also going to offer you the ability to turn off individual scopes. So if you don't want the Amazon MP3 scope, you can turn it off individually, which is a nice step.
That's a nice feature. Yeah, as long as you give me control, I'm fine with it. I don't myself personally. I don't care. It's not enough. It doesn't necessarily excite me, but they give me an off switch. They allow me to turn off individual scopes. That's fine.
While the server back end that's doing all this is not open source, the API and all of the dash code is open source. So companies could actually implement their own server if they wanted to offer something for their local LAN.
Hey.
Yeah, so the whole concept here is the number one comment that everybody has said online is just, for God's sakes, make the dash faster.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
I'll search for crossover, and that is actually pretty damn fast.
It's quite fast. If you have a modern machine that isn't, screaming to be updated, then it's going to run really well. If you're running it like I have it running on an old netbook, it's going to run like snot, even on 1210.
A couple of other just brief notes. All of this functionality is only going to be in the main home dash screen.
Oh, okay.
So, and what they're just trying to recommend people is if you just want to use it in an application launcher, don't just hit the super key, hit super A. That takes you just to your applications. You won't get the online results.
Okay.
Also, this system is always set now to defer to local results. Local results always take preference over anything that they get through the cloud.
They're
helpful. Also adding keyword tags, so you could do food and then : omelet, right? And then it would go search the Epicurious scope and tell you how to make an omelet.
Right.
So you could do music : LED, and then it'll go out and find Led Zeppelin. Instead of LED bulbs, it'll find Led Zeppelin because you told it music : So they are adding some intelligence in the search.
See, that's what I
too.
was saying, is that and then of course you bundle that with various revenue streams, and I think this could be beneficial to them. And they're addressing my concern is, do you offer an off switch, and do you let me turn off individual things? They do. That's cool. So the people that want it, great. People that don't, cool.
I have linked to the spec, and I know we're kind of spending some time on this, but this is going to impact anybody who installs future versions of Ubuntu. And
I think it's an important conversation.
There also could be a lot of FUD online about this.
Sure.
And so one thing in the spec, and by the way, the whole spec is linked in the show notes. And they give a great diagram of how where everything communicates, where things get logged at. They're very upfront with everything.
That's good.
And here we go. This is about the data and metrics that are passed to the Smart Scope service. Smart Scopes is designed so that it is not able to correlate queries and feedback by the user. That is, if there are two searches for the same query, it will use the results and feedback from the first search to improve its recommendations for the second search, but it will not and cannot refine recommendations based on other results for that user, because it deliberately protects users' privacy by not having enough information to do. So that's built into the spec for this thing.
They're having a good conversation there. Yeah, no, I'm totally fine with that, because of the fact that they're explaining it.
Then they break down every single piece of data they collect, every single piece, and the reason why we collect it and how they protect it. So everything is broken down. So when you remove a scope, it tells them they removed it, the reason why they do it, and how they do that. I mean, they don't. And here they say, like, we do not.
They clearly learned from their Amazon.
We do not pass this information to third parties, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I'm really impressed. If you're going to do this,
I think it's worth reading through just to familiarize yourself with it. Really, it's just an interesting read. Even if you're not an Ubuntu person, it is an interesting read.
Well, it's a great spec. I think Stuart Landridge wrote this. Former Lug Radio
did a good job,
and he was in the Hangout that I've linked to also. And it is a really great spec. It could just be looked at as a good example of making something that's technical but also easy to understand.
Oh, it's a great, just as a tool or as a method of presenting technical data for other things. I think even just for that, it's cool. So awesome.
All right, well, let's cover this next story. This is pretty cool. 15,000 Raspberry Pis for UK schools thanks to Google. That's pretty big, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, today they received a generous grant from Google, which will afford them 15,000 Raspberry Pis for school kids around the UK. And there's a little picture of Eric Schmidt, who was visiting Cambridge. And I think this is such a cool thing that Google can do. We sometimes give Google a little bit of a hard time here on the show.
Sure.
Especially with,
I do.
how they sometimes bang the open drum a little more than I would like, because I don't think they always meet those. But this, you just can't get past how cool this is.
That's a nice gesture.
In some ways, these Raspberry Pis are the Lego of a new generation.
But they really are, because then you can build upon them. I mean, there's really not much you can't do with them. They work well together. Yeah. I mean, boy.
All right, Matt, our last story for the week, and this is just a good one because we are huge fans of the XBMC over here at the Linux Action Show. Of course, we've got a Jupiter Broadcasting XBMC add-on, too, which is great. And XBMC 12 was just released, Frodo.
Frodo.
How lovely in the timing on that. Yeah. Some of the neat new features of this version are improved Raspberry Pi support, which I think is a badass idea. And I have no idea how this works, but they also have included PVR support. In Xbox Media Center. Also, they are rocking the Android support in full-fledged.
Like that.
Now, XBMC is I've done videos on it on the network.
I use it every day. Honestly.
But, do you?
Yeah. I use the heck out of it.
It's
multiple facets, both on a computer and on a few other devices.
Have you tried? So they say improved AirPlay support. Have you tried that? Because my wife has an iPhone.
No, I have not. I know that you can't. I mean, even like on a Roku, there's actually we talked about it here as an app pick some time ago.
Yeah.
That you can't. AirPlay is actually pretty universal if you know what you're doing. So I've not, but I think the idea of it would be really cool, because then you could AirPlay stuff to your XBMC box.
I think it's just like an H.264 for the video and AAC for the audio.
I believe so.
So with a live TV PVR support, boy, I mean, I'm curious how that works.
That would be really cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
With the support for Raspberry Pi and the initial support for Android, it's interesting to watch XBMC. XBMC stands for Xbox Media Center. And it evolved.
It really has less and less. It has less and less to do with Xbox.
I don't even think you can't even run it on the old Xbox anymore, and it's just awesome. So great work to the XBMC camp. And if you're an XBMC user, why not grab our Jupiter Broadcasting add-on? Yeah. You can watch the live stream. You can download our catalog and all kinds. It
works really well. It's easy to navigate. It's worth getting.
All right, Matt. Well, that's all the news for this week. All All right, Matt, we're going to help some folks out there break the Google Docs habit today. Now, it won't work for everybody, but I think we're going to be able to solve a problem for a lot of people. Before we get to that, I want to say thank you to this week's segment sponsor, System 76. So, yep, look at us. We're both rocking the System 76 T-shirts today.
You can kind of see it there.
Yeah, I see it.
There it is.
I can see
Yep.
it. Yeah. Thank you to System 76 for the continued support. Now, these machines are built to run Ubuntu over at System 76. They got great laptops like the Bonobo Extreme that I have right here. I run all the visuals for this show off of it. They also have some fantastic desktops. Quiet, powerful, great for playing games. Go check these guys out, system76.com. You know, we talked earlier about Samsung.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Oh, yeah. And this is kind of what I was driving
And
at.
well,
yeah.
and also look at Dell now. Dell's likely going to have a major share bought out by Microsoft. You think Dell's going to keep working on Linux laptops?
They'll drop it like they did last time.
I know, exactly.
That's my opinion. I really believe that. I mean, I separate Dell from the whole enterprise space of it, but for the consumer, they just don't care when it comes to Linux.
Yeah.
They really don't.
You know what? Go with a System 76. You don't want to have any troubles. You want to have a great machine that runs great, and you want to support a company that believes in Linux and makes their money on Linux because that's really the ultimate
I
testimony.
have a
right
laptop since 2008, still running. I use it as a little mini server.
There. Boom. So thank you to
They
System
last.
76.
Telling you.
All right, Matt. So I want to see if let's see if the chat room can
Yes.
guess what we're talking about today.
Oh yeah, this is.
I'm going to describe it, and then I want to see if anybody in the chat room. We do these shows
Yep,
live
yep.
on Sundays at 10 a.m. Pacific.
Yep.
And so I've been watching this particular project for a long time, late 2008, early 2009. And just recently they had a security bug and a few issues that they fixed. Okay.
Good to know.
Now
Good
this
to
is it's something that I would say when I talk about killing Google Docs, I'm mainly talking about what I think is Google Docs' most strongest competitive advantage, and that is the collaborative doc editing. Have you used this much? I know you were you were a writer, Matt. Do you
Yeah.
actually use Google Docs for writing?
I use
Okay.
LibreOffice just because I don't really. Yeah, I.
See, I think if you don't need this collaborative editing feature, it's a little different. But once you have tried, if you haven't tried collaborative editing in Google Docs during your next company meeting or during a
I have for
brainstorming
that.
session,
Yeah, I have for, and it's pretty cool.
or
Collaborative
hell,
editing is neat.
You know, with a significant other, you guys are in separate rooms of the house, and you want to make
We've
a
done that
grocery
too.
shopping list.
Yep.
It is so nice to have multiple people. It uses XMPP on the back end to do all of this. So that's Google Docs, and we're replacing that today. Now, this product I've been watching since Google announced Google Wave, and Google bought this company and killed a competing product, and then later open sourced the bits.
Right.
Does anybody have any guess what I'm talking about? Amazon Docs? I didn't even know there was an
Let's see what
Amazon
we got
Docs.
for
Office 365.
yeah, that's it. You nailed it. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Not so much.
No, Office 365 is not open source.
Not even close. But thanks for playing.
All right, so I think Calligra, good guess. Good
That's
guess.
not bad.
Good
Good
guess.
guess,
Yeah. No, it is called Etherpad Lite. And Etherpad Lite is an open source online editor that provides collaborative editing in real time, all powered by Node.js. Now, when they were shut down, Google open sourced their code in 2009, and they were picked up by a bunch of different projects, including something Mozilla's done and a few other people. So existing Etherpad users received invites. They moved them over to Google Wave.
Oh, that was cool.
Yeah, so they got, but
nice.
then Google shut down Google Wave.
Right. So
that
it's kind of
wasn't
like
so good.
that.
And now I'm talking about Etherpad Lite. Now, Etherpad Lite is almost a complete rewrite of the original Etherpad that was shut down by Google. It's based on different technical foundations and written by different authors.
Okay.
However, it still uses the core sync library and all that kind of stuff.
So it's got that functionality.
It's licensed under the Apache license.
Oh,
And
nice.
let's talk a little bit about this. So this is really cool. So I have it set up right here on my machine running now. Actually, I don't have it started yet, but we will. But I thought maybe I would show off, before we get to that, some of the collaborative editing features this thing has. And I'll tell you, Matt, I have been wanting to talk about this literally since 2009. I really kind of found out about it when Google killed it.
Oh, is that when you actually first discovered this?
Well, I was kind of watching it, and I thought,
Yeah.
because what I was looking for was a solution for show notes.
Right.
So I'm putting the link in the chat room right now. Chat room, go in there. Let's go edit this doc together. I want to show folks that are watching the video how this works. And so we would have, so for example, right before TechSnap starts, Alan and I are both in the doc. We're adding links. We're doing stuff. Or like
last minute checks and all that. Yeah.
Or during SciByte, Heather and I are doing the same thing. So you can see here that, so here we go. Here's the chat room. They're in here. They're editing this doc with me.
Oh, wow.
in real
That's
time.
trippy.
Yeah.
Are we showing this out?
Yeah, each person gets their own color.
Oh,
so
man.
you can see Office 365 for life. And so each person will go and they could, if they wanted to, they can assign themselves a name. So I've given myself a color.
Okay.
And now we could work together. So think of the possibilities when you're doing a meeting, or when you're working
wow.
on maybe code for a project and you want to bang out some ideas, or you may be doing some notes for a business proposal. You could go in here. You can track who's doing what. You can save revisions. You can also export out the results into HTML, plain text.
Oh, now it has revision
Word doc.
control.
It does.
That's important.
You can send it to a PDF, or you can send it to an open doc. So if you want to take the collaborative stuff and then tidy it up in LibreOffice, you can.
I like that.
It also, depending on what modules you have installed, will export out to not TinyWiki. I'm totally
we got
blanking,
HTML, blank text.
It's a very
file.
popular IT wiki editor.
Okay.
So you can actually export the code out to. So if you're doing like group documentation here, you can export the code out to a wiki and then paste it right into your documentation.
I love it. This is great.
And what's really cool is, depending on how you have it set up, you can also just share out to the public, like I'm doing right now.
Right. And it seems like it can definitely take a load.
Yeah.
It's getting spanked right now.
Yeah.
So
And see, there's also a chat going. So you can see people are chatting right now, and I can say sure is handling the load really well. And this particular pad is being hosted by Mozilla over it.
Right.
So this is available for anyone to use right now. You don't have to install any software or anything. Just go to etherpad.mozilla.org. You can create a temporary pad, and you guys can just start collaborating immediately. You don't need a Google Docs account. You can send them the URL directly. The other thing that's really cool is it'll give you an iframe. You can embed this document in a web page. So if you got a blog post or something like that, you can embed all of that there.
That's pretty cool. And I wonder if it's like dynamic if you're iframing it in. I wonder if it's dynamic when it's being edited.
I think it could be. Yeah,
that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. So the chat room's just going crazy.
Oh yeah,
so,
there's all kinds of craziness.
While they go crazy, I'll show you how you can set it up pretty easily.
Yeah, let's do that.
Now this is primarily focused for Ubuntu, because this is what I'm running here on my Bonobo.
Yep.
But you can download Etherpad for Windows, for Mac, or for Linux. It runs on top of Node.js.
Oh, okay.
You don't really even need to know anything about Node.js to do this.
And for other distros, it just comes as what's that available as?
So you download the tar from their website,
okay,
and then you install Node.js. It's probably available in most repos. I
bad.
went and got a PPA for Ubuntu to get a nice fresh version.
Yeah.
You also need to install NPM. I have all of that documented in the show notes.
Okay, that's easy to do.
So folks can go see that.
Yeah.
And then once you download it, you'll get a README that you can follow that they've put right here. And here's the installation, Matt. You download it, you extract it. You install Node.js, and there's a couple different ways you can do that. And then you comment out a few things in the settings file.
Oh, okay.
And then it's essentially ready to go. So here is my terminal window.
Right.
And here I'll clear my screen so it's just nice and it's clear.
Yeah, nice and clean.
And if you look in here, I'm in the Node.js directory.
Okay.
And if I just run.sh, it'll actually start up my Node.js server. And then
That's easy.
And then it launches my instance of Etherpad that I'm just running here locally. And I'll copy the link, okay?
Okay.
And we'll go, unfortunately, it won't open the right browser if I just click it. And we go right here, and now here is running on my machine a local Etherpad instance that I could share out over my intranet. I could run it on my corporate web server. And here I'll just title it Linux Action Show. And this could be just something private like we could use here in studio, or a business could use.
This is really cool.
Yeah, and this is the most modern version too, which is nice. And you can see here I can set like my color, I can set my name, and I can start editing and working. And Node.js just all runs here in the background, and it downloads any dependencies that it needs. And
can you hear that? I think it's the sound of Google Docs screaming in agony.
Yeah. So you get all of the collaborative editing features of Google Docs with more export features. The DocuWiki, that's what, DocuWiki. Being able to export out to DocuWiki is super nice, because I work right now with a group of clients, and they all have DocuWiki installed.
Oh, nice. So it's like a no-brainer.
And so we can sit here and work on this, and I'll send them the URL. And even if I'm not there on site and we need to bang out a procedure for how to shut down the database server or something like that, I shoot them this URL. We both jump in the doc. We come up with the steps, and then export it all out to DocuWiki. Boom, there's my documentation.
Perfect.
So Etherpad Lite is what we're talking about here. I've also linked to a couple of versions already up. Mopad is the one Mozilla's doing. I think that's probably great. I've included a link to a tutorial on how to set up Node.js too under Linux.
Nice.
And I've included a review that somebody's done on Etherpad. Honestly, if you use some of the more serious editing features of Google Docs, you're actually using it as a full-fledged word processor to do like a school paper or something like that, this isn't for that.
Okay.
This is for notes. This is for collaborative editing. This is for getting yourself off the Google Docs, habit.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think I can see this as maybe being something that you have documentation you want to go over with somebody, and then maybe you want to have something you're exporting it to, such as DocuWiki.
When clients say, is Google HIPAA compliant? Is Google Docs HIPAA compliant? I say, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's they have.
I wouldn't say so.
But I can tell them that if they install this on their Linux box,
They're in control.
in their closet, it's absolutely HIPAA compliant. It's all under their own lock and key. We can provide usernames and passwords and logins. So if you or you work with somebody who's a really big fan of owning their own data, Etherpad Lite is super easy to get going. And or if you just want to do a quick collaboration, you go use the Mozilla hosted instance, and you can see the chat room is going. They just go to town on it.
Yeah, no kidding. I think this is really powerful. So I mean, it's a complete rewrite of the original. It's open source. It's simple to install, regardless of your distribution, and the README file is very clear on how to get everything up and running.
And you just shoot somebody a URL, and they can start editing right in their web browser.
Wham, bam,
Super
thank you,
easy to
ma'am.
use.
I like it.
So go check out. You can check it out at etherpad.org, and we also have a bunch of relevant docs and links in the show notes, as well as what packages you'll need to install.
Right,
stuff
because
like
that's
that.
important. Yeah, this is great.
Yep. So go check it out. All right, Matt. Well, that's Linux Action Show's look at a Google Docs killer. All right, Matt, it's time for the thing that everybody's been waiting for. We got to unbox this loot crate. We've been sitting here very patiently all episode with this right in front of us. And, we thought it'd be such a cool way to say thank you to Loot Crate to take a look at the box. We got one. They rushed it out for us in time for the show.
And see, we don't even know what's in them. All we know is that they're
a box of awesome.
A box of awesome.
Yeah.
And, it's one of their previous boxes, because they're a monthly service.
So why don't we do
check
this?
that out.
So if you're not familiar with Loot Crate, because I wasn't really before we started talking about them, but I just love the idea. I want to play a little video for you guys, and then we'll unbox it.
Yeah.
Let's check it out. All right.
Can I give you a little backgrounder?
Loot Crate was an idea I had prior to LA Startup Weekend, and pitched the idea and met a group of 8 phenomenal guys who helped build it that weekend. And in 54 hours, we'd launched the entire business and already signed up 60 subscribers. And we kind of realized we were onto something. At that point, Matt and I decided that this was going to become our full-time passion. Right now, there's a trend in e-commerce for subscription boxes, which is you pay a monthly subscription and you get a box, usually around a theme, whether it's food or fashion or beauty. And we were kind of the first company to apply it to geek and gaming products because it's what we love.
Being a geek and a gamer myself, I was very interested. I approached Chris during Startup Weekend and wanted to be part of the team. I was like, this is one of the ideas that I think I can really get behind.
The way we envisioned it was the same kind of things you'd find at Comic-Con or you wait in line 2 or 3 hours for merchandise, swag, apparel, gear, fun foods, and for a very reasonable price, give that to you on a monthly basis, and it's a mystery box essentially. So you never really know what's going. It's curated by not only the team here, but some of the influencers and other people in the industry we work with.
Obviously, social media is important for every business.
I love
They need
this.
to be
So, it's like,
listening, they need to be
you can't always make it to every fair. You can't always make it to
Right.
every convention. You get a little taste of that, plus a bunch of other great geeky stuff. And the other thing that's really cool is they're just a bunch of, geeky fans that got together and just started doing this themselves.
So wouldn't it be cool if you can have a little box of awesome sent to your house every month?
So let's open this one.
Awesome. Yeah,
Now,
let's get a
all
little box of awesome
All right,
on.
Matt. I'm gonna remove the big question mark for you audio listeners. We had a box here with the question marks.
Oh, Riddler
propped up.
looking here.
Yeah, it was kind of. It looked like it was what font is that? I want to.
I think it
Riddler
was.
font?
I know. I remember what the font was, but I remember the sizing. I did it at 250 on my word processor or something like that. I just kept making it bigger.
All right, so we got. So is it this right here? Is a little
Yes.
little like explanation of what's in the crate here?
Yep.
All right, so here I'll.
Kind of gives us a description.
Oh, I'm already liking this.
We have the Marvel Workman's Carry-All. Looks like an old school
Spider-Man tin.
Yeah, like a tin lunchbox. This isn't plastic, folks. This is a little tin
I
guy.
like that.
And
That's cool. All right,
There's stuff
so there's
inside.
some.
There's some goodies in there,
All
I
right,
think.
let's see what we got. Okay.
Oh, got some RPG action in there. It looks
All
like.
right. Awesome.
nice.
Awesome. Got some retro stickers.
8-bit zombie power pack stickers.
We better not let Dylan see this because he's got a thing for zombies right now. He's gonna want that.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's like you got like a power glove with claws and some little buttons and stuff. That's
And we got Hello
awesome.
Panda goodies, biscuits with cocoa. Here. And then here, a nice thing of dice.
Yes, you got some RPG dice. That's
That
cool.
is really nice. A bunch of really nice dice in it. Look at that.
Good color on
Here,
it.
you
too.
look at that. I want to open up.
Yeah.
I want to open up.
This is cool.
Do you mind if we open up?
Yeah,
the
go
cookies
for it.
real quick. Okay. Because these look really,
Nice.
really good.
And they're this is total RPG action here.
So these are biscuits with cocoa and cream. All right. Well, see, I don't know if let's see. I don't know if we should do. I don't think it's.
I
don't think
I won't be able to.
It's
do
good
that.
etiquette to eat these on air, but I'm at least going to give them a sniff because they look really good.
But
Oh my!
smell
my
as good as I
God! They
think.
smell good. Okay, look at that. Okay, I gotta have one. I'm sorry, you guys. I gotta have one.
check this out. This is totally going to end up on my notebook.
Oh,
That's
you
awesome.
sure you can't have one of these? Will
No,
you
I
get?
can't.
Will you get messed up?
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
can't.
God!
I wish. Yeah. So we got a Power Glove here. That's like it's like literally the old school NES Power Glove with claws.
These are so good. Oh, these are exported. I see. Yeah, they imported these.
Yeah, a lot of times you get a lot of the cool stuff from like Japan and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Little guy there.
No wonder why I've never seen these before. Those are really good. This tin is great too.
Oh, check it out. 8-bit zombie. It's like Grateful Dead.
Oh my God, I love these.
Isn't that great? Oh my God. Oh, and you got to know. Oh, this is for your car right here. Power Glove claw. Back window. Bam. Right there. I'm telling you. Got some buttons.
The Spider-Man tin's I'm all about that Spider-Man tin. So anyways, if you guys want to check this out and you want to go subscribe, go over to lootcrate.com/Linux. Go get some loot, you guys. This is fun.
And you get this sent to you every month. You don't have to do anything. You sign up for it.
I'm going to give this out as gifts. This is going to be a great gift.
Total gift. Yeah, it's totally a great gift. And you just go to the URL provided in the show notes and enter the code Linux.
I think they have enough time. I don't think this month's Loot Crate gets shipped out until the 20th. So if you guys want to get this month, you can go sign up.
This would be a good time to do it.
Yeah. Go check out lootcrate.com/Linux. And thank you to Loot Crate. Yep. What a great new sponsor for the show, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That is so perfect. That's so cool. I love geeky stuff. And they got all kinds of different stuff. So, they always have new stuff.
Loving it. And I love the fact they give you this little placard, which happens to also have an Android app.
Yeah.
You can, a Loot Crate Android app. And, of course, it says, my New Year's resolution will be 1920 by 1200. That's good to know. I love that.
Oh, very punny.
I like it.
Very
I like
punny.
it. So, yep, January Loot Crate here. Love
all
it.
right. I'm going to try not to eat the rest of these during the show. Those
going all Cookie Monster, that would be awesome.
They have like they're puffy. They have this puffiness to them, so they're
It's totally
good.
addictive, right? Yeah, love it.
I want to just mention a couple things before we get out of here. There's a couple of live events that are coming up in the community.
Yes, big ones.
So a big one for us coming up on April 27th is Linux Fest Northwest 2013. Matt and I will be there with bells on. We're going to have a booth. We're working on the details right now. We're going to try to have all the technology to be live streaming the whole thing, so you can tune in on Saturday and watch us live. That'll be the 27th.
Yeah. Coming up in April. Boy, that's not too far off.
No, it's not. And also coming up even sooner is the Linux Outlaws Live, February 17th. You have a last chance to go buy some tickets before next week. They're recording episode 300 of the Linux Outlaws Live at 5:30 on Sunday, February 17th.
Love it.
Yeah, so at the Leaf. And Bold Street in Liverpool, and they have all tickets on sale. They will benefit the Software Freedom Conservancy.
Cool.
You know what I mean? So
sure.
Congrats to them on episode 300 and a live show. That's a great idea. Well, so you get a chance to see them live if you're on that side of the pond, and you have a chance to see us live if you're on this side of the pond.
What a great way to do it.
One more live community event, of course, is Scale 11X is coming up. Hello, Chris. I'm writing on behalf of Southern California Linux Expo, Scale 11. Our 11th annual community organized Linux open source conference is coming up in February.
Wow.
We would appreciate it if you would help us spread the word about it on the Linux Action Show. Scale 11X will be held on February 22nd through the 24th at the LAX Hilton in Los Angeles. Scale is a community-run event that was started out of the local user groups in Los Angeles over 10 years ago.
Wow, that's cool.
This year's event will draw over 2,000 attendees and nearly 100 speakers. Some of this year's 100 exhibitors will include Facebook, IBM, HP, GNOME, Zen.org, Apache Cloud Stack, Facebook, Illuminos, and SaltStack.
I can't speak for all events, and I suspect this one may have a little bit like a Linux Fest, where there's been recruiting that's been known to happen at these things.
Oh, yeah.
So sometimes, it's worth checking out. So I'd say definitely get down there. Get your plane tickets now. It's coming up soon.
And I just wanted to make one point of clarification. Last week we covered some Steam games that aren't actually, if you're using the Steam client under Linux, don't show up as available to you in the store.
Oh, okay.
If you buy them through the web, they will. The ones I talked about will then show available in your library. They just haven't been flagged yet as Linux compatible in the store. And some of them, like I think X3, I can't remember a couple of them weren't yet available. But if you buy them through the Steam store, you'll have them. Because a few people asked about that, I wanted to clarify. And then I had a favor to ask folks for TechSnap 100. We're doing a special limited run t-shirt just for TechSnap 100.
Cool.
After TechSnap 100, we won't be offering it anymore. And we're wondering, for the limited time run, would folks be willing to buy a TechSnap t-shirt with a swear word on it? The S word. We have a saying on TechSnap called patch your S.
Right.
And we just want to know, we were thinking of making the trademark t-shirt, and then we'll later on do a TechSnap t-shirt, maybe that doesn't have swearing down the road, but for this limited time run. So I have a link in the show notes. If you guys would go vote on that and give us an idea, please do so. For TechSnap 100, you can look forward to that.
And it's kind of like a collector's edition.
It is.
Because if it's a one-time run,
Yep.
you get it. If you want a TechSnap t-shirt, this is the time to do it. Yeah,
We'll have to have, we're using a service called Teespring, so we will have to have a certain amount of purchases in order to unlock the shirt, and then it'll only run during the 100 episodes run, and then will be discontinued.
Wow.
So, TechSnap fans, it's a limited time opportunity to get a special episode 100 shirt.
Get voting.
What are you up to this week, Matt?
Well, as always, you can find me at datamation.com. Scroll down to open source channel, click on that. You can read my articles there. And as always, you can also find me at matthartley.com and find some of my legacy articles, such as getting Skype to work with Linux.
Oh, yes. And in fact, tune in next week. We're going to cover the podcasting basics under Linux. If you want to start a podcast and record a podcast, we'll give you some tips and tricks on how to do that under Linux. And Matt and I are going to cover recording Skype calls with a pretty handy program.
Yes. Very, very cool.
So we'll give you the details on that on the next week's episode of the Linux Action Show. All right, everyone. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Linux Action Show. We'll see you right back here next week.
I love it. Oh, this is awesome. God, where were these a few years ago?
These are the best little treats I think I've ever had.
That's awesome.
Now watch me. Watch, I can get it. Watch. Okay, ready?
Better.